Okay, so I have some new hard proof to show y'all about Mtashed like blatant misinformation on the game, and this video is mostly going to be about him mocking the difficulty of the game and saying that there's no reason to really like play or progress because it's too easy. So let's get into this.
There has to be some sort of threat. There has to be some reason to get stronger. And I even jumped in, there's like a testing area. I can't even remember how I got into the testing area. I loaded into it and I spawned in enemies that were level 60 when I was level 20. They're tripling me in level and I killed them. I killed him easily. And
now I'm going to show you some hard proof that Mtashed is blatantly spreading misinformation here. So because I hate myself, I skimmed through hours of Mtashed Twitch VODs, and because I wanted to be thorough and do my due diligence. So this is actually when he actually found the training area. And you can actually watch. He's going to spawn in the level 65 enemies, and you can watch for yourself.
Huh?
Okay, so he spawned them in. This is level 20 Rebecca that he was talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
You have to understand, I have like nothing upgraded either.
So he's like, yeah, so
like my passives. So yeah, like I can't kill them, but
dude. So like he says it right there. I can't kill them, he says. He says it right here. I can't kill them. Level 65s in the distance. Yeah, I don't know. Are my expectations too high for the internet? I try to maintain a strong faith in humanity sometimes, but I understand how people say they get jaded when they go on the internet. All right. Okay, so he's doing 0 damage to them. He's actually he's like getting killed by them. And he does some cope about how I don't have anything upgraded. Yeah, that's how the game progression works. But he's basically trying to cope and say that if I upgraded my demon wedges, or if I upgraded my passive and my ability and stuff, then I'd be able to kill them, which is just tremendous amounts of cope. I mean, what you can basically see right there in front of your eyes is a guy who is like he wants to believe so badly that this narrative that he's trying to spin and push. So you literally are seeing a man who's able to extricate himself from reality, the reality that the rest of us are in and we all share, and he's putting himself in the Mtashed reality bubble to try and convince himself of this narrative. You can clearly see like right in front of your eyes, this is his Twitch VOD, it's literally right there. You can see him go in as a level 20 and fight the level 60s, and he doesn't do anything to them, and in fact is getting his ass kind of handed to him. If that doesn't just like nuke the credibility on everything that he talks about on this subject, he talks more about this and we'll get into more stuff, but he makes little comments like here and there about the difficulty, and like it's all based on this you know Mtashed reality bubble that is not reality. It is not reality whatsoever. It is blatantly false. It is right there for everyone to see. His Twitch VOD is right there. You can go look and see. I just want to point out, because I did I like took timestamps and all this stuff. This is a 3 hour and 30 mark. He starts filming this review around the 5 hour and 55 mark of the Twitch VOD. In real time, it was about 2.5 hours from this, like literally him seeing the reality that like his level 20 could not kill level 65s or level 60s, and 2.5 hours later, he's already starting to film his video where he's making claims about how the game is too easy and such, right? It really is an impressive, like almost like we need a case study on the, like we all kind of know about this psychological like phenomenon, like when someone has their bias and their kind of belief that they want to believe, they'll just like stick to it no matter what. Every time they get new information, they'll like mold it around their ideas. Everyone does this. Look, I do this. Nobody's perfect in this. This is just like a human thing that the human brain does. Nobody's perfect, right? But it truly is impressive to see a man who can go from literally 2.5 hours of seeing it happen in real time to completely morphing reality, to completely taking himself and putting himself in the Mtashed reality bubble. So I don't want to harp on this, but I just want to kind of stress that like this has to just nuke your credibility entirely on the subject, right? It really is one of the most offensive cases of like blatant misinformation and lying that I've ever seen. I also need to talk about this other point he keeps harping on, which is that like nothing is a threat in the game. Like none of the enemies are a threat. And there's 2 things about this, right? One is that when he actually is in the trial room around again, go watch yourself. I can't show everything. 3 hours and 30 minute mark. He fights level 80s enemy. He fights level 80 enemies first, and then he fights the level 65s. In both cases, they basically beat his ass and he's like dying to them. The level 80s, he dies. He's like self-sustaining with a ton of like health drops that are on the ground, and then he like dies. And he even admits word for word, so they can kill me.
So they can kill me.
So they can kill me, he says. So first of all, they can. But look, 20 to 80 is like the point that I'm trying to make, is that that's obviously a big difference. They should be able to kill you. When he goes against the level 65, it's basically the same deal. At the very least, like he's not out DPSing them, right? To the point to what they are doing to him. The second point is that these, like he's also just missing the type of game that these are. And that he even mentions like in like PoE, Diablo, Warframe, First Descendant, He even mentions how a lot of the enemies are trash mobs and you're supposed to be like having the power fantasy of like mowing through the hordes. The thing is with these kinds of games, when it comes to the trash mobs, you're not necessarily meant to be like in danger of being killed. Like that's kind of just, you're missing the point. Like the main point of these games is like farming and farming efficiently and like farming a lot. So difficulty is when, you know, you're either farming something very efficiently, but then if enemy HP goes up and your damage is not able to keep up, then now you're farming less efficiently. That's like the difficulty. In the wave-based content, so like defense or exploration or whatever, you can continue the waves and to increase the amount of rewards you're getting, but the level of the enemy also goes up. So that means that your build is now being tested little by little to see if you can continue farming the stage efficiently and in like a reasonable amount of time to get those increased rewards. If you are, you know, knowledgeable on the game systems, on the building, the modding, the like weapons and your teammates and, you know, the team that you're having, the abilities and all stuff, you can continue just like clearing those, like the little bumps in enemy level again, until at a certain point it gets to a level where you're not farming efficiently anymore and you have to reset, and the rewards even reset after like 5 or 3 waves or whatever it is. So again, it's missing the point of like difficulty in these games, and he's like grading it to a different rubric. He's grading it against like an Elden Ring type of rubric or something. Like if this was a Dark Souls game and you could like slap the bosses and slap all the enemies with complete ease and like everything hit you from 1 HP and you were never in danger of dying, then like, yeah, valid criticism, that would be bad. But it's just not the kind of game that this is, to my understanding. Like, you know, as long as you like have a semi-competent build and you're like a semi-competent player with like thumbs and whatnot, you should really just never be in danger of dying to trash mobs. As you can see, like in his VOD, in this testing range, if you're like super over leveled and you're fighting enemies that you shouldn't be fighting, then like you will get your ass handed to you and you will be killed, right?
In 5 hours or 4 hours or 3 hours, I thought I would fight something that was like a threat. I fought a boss. It had multiple armor pieces and you had to break the armor. I was like, oh, here we go. And I one-shot it. I killed it instantly.
It was actually 3 hours, by the way, of Duet Night Abyss gameplay before he actually sat down and filmed his review, his first review. Just wanted to point that out, 3 hours, by the way, of engaging with the game before filming a review where you basically call it terrible. Which, again, I've said this before, but fair enough. Like, a normal person can tell if they like a game or not. But as a reviewer, there's like a certain amount of integrity that, you know, you gotta like engage with the game a little bit, right? And like understand it. And there is actually Twitch VOD of him fighting this boss. Yeah, I mean, you can tell me if that fits your definition of like a one-shot or not. It's obviously, yes, it's obviously like quite easy. It's obviously like quite an easy boss in the story, but this is another example of people like Mtashed just totally just like not understanding what kind of game this is. With these like with these visual novel-esque story games, you got your, you know, your WUAs, your Genshins, HSRs, ZZZs, the battles and the fights in the visual story type of like story presentation is not going to be difficult. Okay, they're a lot of times they're easy and unlosable because that's not the point of it, right? The point of it is, like, for example, in this is just like I took this as just like a story spectacle, right? It's used there as a story spectacle. It's used to introduce the boss and mechanics for this particular boss, and then it lets you use Psyche in a trial, right? Like it's like a complete overreaction because it's just not understanding what kind of game, what kind of story kind of is being told, right? In like, for example, in WUA, I remember there's a part during the Augusta story where I was fighting Augusta and I was getting like my ass handed to me, and I noticed that like I was stuck at 1 HP at one point, so like no matter how many times I got hit, I like couldn't go down, like I couldn't lose, right? But the point of that was not to be like an Elden Ring style boss where you derive satisfaction from like beating the boss and overcoming it. It's a story, it's there as part of the story. It's a story spectacle, right? The point is to have Rover fight Augusta and to like immerse you in this fight. Basically, like the idea, it would kind of take away from the immersion if you just like died and then respawned and like restarted the fight as Rover in that moment. It's like a you know, artistic choice, I think, for something like that. And also, of course, with visual novel-esque stories, the point of the fights in the story is not to like gatekeep you and prevent people from progressing the story. The point is, again, like immersive and story spectacle that's there to like add to the immersion and the vibe of the story. It's very disingenuous to take this like story fight and then just like have a total overreaction and say the game is like easy, right? And that you like one shot and it was easy and blah, blah, blah. Again, just like totally missing the point of these kinds of games. All right, y'all, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And keep commenting though, for real, because I do like having discussions and seeing other perspectives and reading those comments. I see all the nice comments. Thank you very much. Y'all are too kind. Thank you very much. Okay, appreciate you. Stay safe out there. Take care. Okay, I'm actually gonna end it now. Okay, bye. I'm actually gonna press the button.